There's a, yeah, for people who like Ayn Rand and read her, it's a very famous scene. It's in The Fountainhead, and the architect who she labors to convince is admirable, and who I admired so much that I often said he wouldn't have had anything to do with her. Um, is asked by Ellsworth, by one of his associates, what he thinks of Ellsworth Toohey, who's a scandal monger from a newspaper. He says, "Well, I don't think of him." You know, if you ask me what I think of Obama, I'd say I don't think of him. If he wasn't being put in my face as a challenge by SmackDown career artists, you know, there's a question, a bonding question. He wanted to recruit me for poetry by giving me AIDS. They settled on Parkinson's, they say, but always something worse. His first act of office was to forgive the thieves in the auto industry who had skunked the banking system by giveaways. He bailed them out rather than say we should just switch to mass transit anyway. We don't have any money for these thieves. And so he was a union installation. Bush always had good relations with the unions because the unions backed him at the draft board for post office. You know, I mean, the Black Panthers, Black Power got a lot of momentum out of the post office unions. They licky chops who your girlfriend is. And well, anyway, they watch the mail, in other words. And they got this story going that I ripped off the Beatles story. I don't know how does a person who doesn't know that a Beatles story is being told rip it off? You know, it's not logical, but it's what they call Obama think because he decides it happened. You know, they refuse to look into the fact that all of these women who played this significant role in the British intelligence services towards me are associated with someone named Arnold. They don't look into the name index of Arnold. You know, fact that all of these women are they're so innocent, they're so innocent. They don't even answer questions. And it's a simple question of right and wrong. You know, do you believe that somebody who didn't know there was a Beatles thread to what was happening was trying to rip off the Beatles story? Uh, or some spine tingling neon prophet who can buzz Anna with a spinner beanie. That yes, indeed, if Obama says so, it must be true. And they talk about sci-fi, alternative universes, and so on and so forth. I'll give you an idea of what goes on in the mind of the Post Gazette and the people of Pittsburgh, as they call themselves, intoning on this stuff and being puppeteered by Liverpool, who say, "You want to be like us, right?" They say, if you feel you were tortured, it's because you brought it on yourself to learn from it. You know, if enough responsible people who you respect tell you to brutally sexually attack a mutilated victim of torture from childhood who is deaf with a neurological implant, you would do that too. And they get together with WQED intelligentsia who burn girls' arms gangrenous and go, how can we bring him back to reality? And Obama says, let's threaten him on the road to HIV like some kind of prank. And we'll say it's an eye for an eye because he got nookie from some girl. Oh, what a good idea. They say, why is it the responsibility of the public schools to make sure that deaf students have an opportunity to learn sign language? Hmm. Hmm. Why is it common sense tells you it's their own fault? And this is Pittsburgh, and they get it certain ephemerals from the anthropology department. They call it the provincial norm. Provincial norm. And they call it celestial Appalachia. Oh, if a kid is beaten senseless and cries from when he's being brutalized and forced to use inhalants, he's a sissy. And they call this an agreement, a union agreement. And Biden says, I'm inseparable from Obama on this matter. He was trying to steal a Beatles story that I didn't know existed. Wow, I'm cunning. I put myself to sleep with knockout agents so I could steal a Beatles story. Whoa, that's impressive. That's smarter than Vince Irene. I should put on my spinner beanie as a representation of my registered status. And the reality, you might wonder, what's the reality of this story, son? I noticed that there was some discrepancies in the behavior, activity, and stories being told by Schulman. Reported it to the post office. They had to get somebody to go after me for spreading rumors about people. He turns out to be ripping off the museum for $6 million, and he was a partner of the Beatles. He was ripping off their own story. And they're denouncing me as a race rider. A race rider. For quitting a job and going homeless, refusing to cooperate with some psycho who drove a van recklessly at a school bus where there were boarding and exiting black school students who he could have killed. I'm a race rider for being infuriated by it and trying to put a stop to it, for quitting the job and reporting it and trying to find out who he was. But oh, son, because the people who were behind that incident were professionals from Hollywood, protecting Reagan, endorsed by Obama. If you don't believe me, how come I was cased in that area by a black man driving a condemned building truck? How come the kid who owned the van made it a point to make sure I understood that he grew up with and went to school with Ming-Na Wen, who served as an agent to Oliver Stone when he was playing cat and mouse with Vladimir Putin? How come I'm impugning Russia when I said I'd like to be able to keep an open mind in my academics because I enjoy some of their research? It's because the big oligarchs are pouring out the milk of human kindness in favor of the Beatles stealing their own story from Pittsburgh's public schools' obligation to deaf students in favor of Mellon Bank. Because the whole thing was orchestrated in Mellon Bank, in Carnegie Mellon University. Granger, Morgan, Ann Mitchell, Doran Hegge. You tell me I'm wrong. How come the girl who introduced me to the girl who wrote the script, the wife of Shelley, the daughter of Shelley Friedman, the magistrate, who introduced me to the person who wrote the script, had a name of a neurobehavioral researcher named Wattmaker with a dog named Tito, and was his neighbor, and then later was a neighbor of a Green Party dude who's had a dog named Yuri, after Yuri Andropov. Tito and Andropov, that were the names of the dog. And she leapfrogged from one nice little location to the other, plain and simple. And Yuri got to do the honors of tearing my daddy's cashmere coat to shred when he got Donnerhood by the German Green Party. And then I was poisoned in the mouth by their administrative legal services in tune with COVID, which is about a Cohen video of a 19-year-old that they uh, impinged for because Obama said that the JDL was best protected by the German Green Party and their Goebbels admiring sponsors from Fritz Gurdjieff Society. And Tony Levin announces the wonder of this Pentagon Disney uh, matrix. That's what we'll call it, because it's attenuated to the higher authority of Hollywood, Pentagon Disney. Oliver Stone, well, he'll get Putin. You'll be sorry. Does Putin know you said that? You'll be sorry if Putin hears what you said. What gives? I was a Pittsburgh public school student who they refused to teach sign language. What gives? That they talked about me behind my back and made up a celluloid motion picture scenario that supposedly involved the Beatles, and then said that I was trying to steal it by announcing that I didn't know anything about it because I was deaf and they were doing it behind my back. I'm trying to steal it from them. And what's that come from? That comes from something they call plastic reality. Oh, plastic, what a good thing. Oh, 118 trillion pieces in the ocean. Whoa, Sonny, that's good. That's so good that we'll name the Beatles the Plastic Beatles Band. Yeah, whoa, Sonny. What gives? This is clearly conscious and deliberate mayhem. It doesn't come from the fourth dimension. It comes from the dementia of the fourth estate. It has nothing kosher about it. It's absolutely absurd. And this theater they call the nature of reality. And they pummeled the student journals with justifications for Oliver North selling Exocet missiles to Ronnie and Kooks, who used them to blow up Marines in Lebanon so he can raise money to mine Nicaraguan harbors so that the people who Roberto Clemente was trying to help can't get sign language teachers for their deaf children. In violation of Congress, with the help of a man named Gorbanifar and another named Foucault. And all to please Reagan, who didn't know a word about it. No, son, he didn't know. He's the one who didn't know, they say. So I was stealing the Beatles story by asking Reagan for a moment to give me the benefit of the doubt. No, son. No benefit of the doubt. Turns out his attorneys, his team for the whole procedure had me in D.C. the day he claims he was shot. He comes out and waves to me the night before, and Obama's like, well, I've got that CBS footage, and we're not going to do nothing with it until CBS shows the AI simulation of it to everybody, which shows me what was I doing? What was I doing? Mm-hmm. I was looking like this. It's the truth. I was like, what? Who is that? Why is he waving to me? Who? What do you mean that's Reagan? Why is he waving at me?